If you were to picture the life of your dreams, what would be different in your day-to-day actions? I'm sure you can pinpoint certain things that you want. I want this certain car, I want this certain house, I want this certain routine. But if we were to reverse engineer that and start to break the big goal into mini tiny goals that we can achieve to get to the big goal, then we can wake up from our dreams and accept that this is now our reality. I posted a poll on my Instagram story and I asked you to ask me whatever questions you want, and I chose the top 5 questions, putting myself in the shoes of someone wanting to scale their business and just value pack this video. So let's quit the small talk and get into it. Okay, so if you're new here, my name's Rebecca. I'm 25 years old. I'm the founder of a globally recognized lash brand. I've been a keynote speaker at almost all of the largest lash conferences in North America. I've trained globally. I've trained over 3,500 students, and I actually created from scratch the first ever methods in our industry called Anatomical Lash Designing. And this is a concept where a lash tech will actually measure the entires of the face, and then according to those measurements, there will actually be a formula that each one of the clients will fit into in order to get custom lashes according to their anatomy. Our business started in 2019, so presently it's been almost 6 years, which is the perfect opportunity to lead us into our first question. How did you start your business? Okay, so like I said, I started my business in 2019 and I was 19 years old at the time, and this happened really spontaneously. I always had a passion for business. My parents had businesses growing up. I had a bunch of businesses as a little kid, and I was the queen of having businesses that didn't make me any money. Example, I would spend all my evenings in elementary school hand braiding bracelets, bring them to school the next day, set up a little stand in the playground, and then I would have a sign and it would be like, this bracelet is 15 rocks. And then I'd have the kids go collect like 15 rocks for this bracelet. And then this bracelet, it's high end, it's 20 rocks. Anyways, so what I did was I gathered all these rocks and then I would go home and I would have a rock sale and I would sell these rocks. I always knew that my passion was in business, because I have this theory that however a kid chooses to play is where their passion lies. So if you think of yourself as a kid, think of how you used to play, because that's you playing with no external voices telling you what to do, and that's where you find your purest form of joy. So back to 2019, I actually was getting my lashes done by my lash tech, and she very casually was like, hey, I'm hosting a course next month. I'd love for you to join. I feel like you'd be really good at this. And I thought at the time this would be perfect because I was a university student. I was in school for education, specializing with children with learning disabilities, and I was like, this is gonna be perfect for my schedule. I could just lash whenever I want in between courses and stuff. So anywho, I got my certification, I took the course, my parents helped me fund it because I had no money to start a business. Then from there, it was much harder than I thought. I hated lashing, my work sucked, and there's a reason that the lash industry has an 80% dropout rate. I didn't want to become that statistic though. So what happened was COVID hit in 2020. I couldn't go out anyways, so I was like, might as well practice. I'd put on my favorite shirt and I'd practice on my mannequin. I did this over and over again until I actually started to enjoy what I was doing. Everybody wants to bypass the learning phase, but in reality, that is the most crucial phase to achieve anything in life. So long story short, my step 1 goal was to master this craft. I didn't have big goals. I just thought of this being a side hustle. I thought I was gonna be a teacher, and that's all I really had in store for me. But with time, I hyper fixated on this craft and I started to see a lot of gaps in the industry. I started to order products and I didn't really enjoy the products. I felt like they weren't consistent. And I had this one burning idea and I was like, I want products that are gonna work for me as a lash tech, that I can rely on, are affordable. And I also wanna be able to chemically create these products so that I know what I'm inhaling as I'm working. Because if you didn't know this, lash adhesive is actually a respiratory irritant. So I totally nerded out on that and I actually developed my own product line. I worked with a chemist to do this, we manufactured this, and I started just using products for myself. With time, I gained friends in the industry and I was like, whoa, why don't I just start selling these to my friends? So that's how we started. I locally just started selling the products to lash techs in my areas that were my friends. And they loved the product so much and they were like, Reb, you should release this. Long story short, I released the products and that's where I started my very, very small business. Now let's fast forward to 2022. I just graduated university and I always had this thought in my head that I felt like if I were to just become a teacher, I would be sacrificing so much and I would be wasting my potential. I have so much passion, I have so much creativity. Why not give myself at least a year to prove to myself that I can do something with this? So I gave myself this challenge. I marked in my calendar and I said, by 2023, January 1st, if I can't prove to myself that I can attain something in this industry, I'll quit. I'll become a teacher and I'll live what I claim to be an average life in my mind. So what this timeline did is it made me work harder than I could ever imagine I could ever work. Within this year, I had a new project I wanted to focus on. I'm located in Vancouver, and what I did is I flew across the country to Toronto. I took a bunch of courses from really reputable brands, aka Lash God, whom now the owner is one of my very good friends. I took a course to become accredited, to become an official trainer, and to certify other ladies to do lashes. Then I took some advanced courses as well. When I came back, I saw a gap. I also saw this gap in myself. I remember I would do my lashes, sometimes I'd like them, sometimes I wouldn't, and I wanted to completely eliminate any inconsistency in my work and in the services I received. Sometimes I noticed I'd get a cat eye, I'd droop my eye, and sometimes I'd do my clients' lashes, they'd open their eyes, and I was not proud. I wanted to ensure that every single client that came to me left the chair feeling happy, satisfied, and as if I tailor created a set according to their face. Now, there was a huge gap when it came to education with anatomy. I looked at other areas such as makeup, and people would be applying makeup according to their features. For example, if you have this face shape, you should apply your blush here. Now, what I did is I studied for an entire year the laws of symmetry, and I combined it with lashes. I created a huge formula sheet with all the possible formulas that a face could have, such as this eye shape plus this eye plane plus this eye set plus this face shape looks optimal with this lash design. I started to categorize all of this, combining it with the laws of symmetry and lashes, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to create this revolutionary method where people could apply lashes and ensure that every single time you applied them, it was a bulletproof method. Your client would like the lashes because they are symmetrically applied according to the face. Anywho, I did just that. I wrote my very first book called The Symmetry Lash Extension Guide. For the first 6 months, I maybe sold 2 copies. I was really discouraged, but in the meantime, I didn't let that stop me. I was posting minimum 3 times a day on social media, talking about my book. Because as you could probably see, I have passion and belief in it. I truly believe that this book could be the reason that lash techs make more income, blow up their businesses, master their craft, and I deem it to be a vital skill to be known when doing lashes. Any other area you study anatomy, why not do it with lashes? After 6 months, my social media started to pick up. I started to get invited to be a keynote speaker to speak about this book, and salons started to actually fly me out to train their staff on how to anatomically apply lashes. I've trained salons globally. I sell products to salons globally, and in my mind, I'm just getting started because I want this method to be the standard in all beauty academies. Sorry if that was a little bit of a ramble. I feel like I missed so much, but it's just such a challenging thing for me to condense 6 primal years of my life into a short summary. Now let's get to the next question. Question number 2, how do you deal with imposter syndrome or comparison online? This is a full-winded question and I love it. First, I want to read out to you the definition of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when you doubt your own abilities or accomplishments, even when there's clear evidence that you're skilled, talented, or successful. This is a really heavy layered question, and although I'd love to sit here and say I don't deal with imposter syndrome, I know that I'm successful, I know that I'm talented, this is simply not the case. I'm human and it's inevitable not to doubt myself. But I like to think of this in one way. Imagine you have, for simplicity, 100 thoughts a day. Now imagine that 51 of those thoughts were good things about you and 49 of those thoughts were bad things about you. You will believe the higher percentage. So you're gonna believe the better things about you. So I want you to start thinking about your identity as something you need to hardwire over and over again with a lot of repetition until you just believe it. If I tell myself over and over again every single day that I'm capable and that anything that happens to me I'm able to handle, with time, I will believe that. Of course, this needs to be backed up with evidence, but let me give you another example. Let's say you start up soccer and you don't practice at all. Subconsciously, you're not going to be thinking good things because you're not practicing, you're not seeing results, you're not seeing evidence. But let's say I started soccer and I started to practice every single night. And as I was practicing, I was telling myself good thoughts about my soccer skills. Wow, I'm getting better at dribbling every single day. I have really strong legs. Look at my kick. I don't know what people say about soccer when they're good at it. But my point is, we need to fully delusionally believe in ourselves because no one else is going to believe in yourself as much as you will. You need to tune out all the external voices and simply just listen to your own, because your own opinion on yourself is truly the only one that matters. That opinion is the one that dictates your life. Now, another just quick tip that I did in the beginning and I've always done is on my Lash account, I don't follow one single person. Not because I don't want to support my friends or other business owners. It's because I want a clear feed with no external influence and I want to fully create based on my own mind. So don't feel guilty if you need to take a step like that, and focus on building your self-identity because that will layer into every single area of your business. Question number 3. How do you handle hate comments? Block and delete. I'm not kidding. This is exactly how I handle hate comments, because anyone who has a spare second to think and then to take action on that thought and write something negative about my top passion in life is someone I want removed entirely from my page. When I say hate comment though, I'm not talking about constructive criticism. If someone constructively points out something that I may not be able to see in my business that may be a flaw, I'm grateful. I'm gonna take that as advice, and I might even message them privately and ask them to explain and see where I could do better. But if someone's coming on my account and they're just plainly and simply being rude, disrespectful, that energy is not something that I need. Question number 4, how do you structure your days as a founder? A power list. Every night before I go to bed, I write out my entire day in extreme detail for the next day, so it's optimally set up for success. I also write this list strategically according to my weaknesses. For example, I have optimal energy in the morning, meaning I'm gonna get all the hardest tasks done in the morning. So at night, when I'm feeling silly, I don't have that burden of something mentally exhausting to do. Let me read out my day today so that you can see it. Today, I slept until 8, coffee with my mom plus review my day, get ready, record YouTube video, record 7 pieces of content for my Instagram, which is also all scripted already. After this, since I really like getting my steps in, I'm gonna sound like a psychopath, but I actually pace back and forth in my place while I'm editing so that I'm like moving. After that, I'm gonna go to the gym, grocery shop, meal prep, and then wash my car. After that, I can chill, I can do whatever, I can see friends, I can watch a movie, whatever my little heart desires. I also have an ongoing list of projects for me that are either incomplete or new projects I wanna start. And then I have another list of allocations. So people on my team that I want to allocate certain projects to. All right, last but not least, question number 5. How do you balance everything? My honest opinion on this is I don't believe in balance. What I believe in is there's seasons in life that call for extreme discipline, and then there's seasons in life that call for extreme relaxation. That's how I like to live my life. I'm not motivated and inspired every single day, and I like to operate in almost like sprints. So from this month to this month, we're gonna complete all of these projects, get everything organized, and then the next month, I'm gonna take it easy. What I'm learning is when you're in business, balance doesn't really exist. And that's something I personally love. Another thing I like to focus on is my roles. So outside of business, I really value the people in my life. I have a lot of friends, but my core circle I can count on one hand. And this is because I like to invest all of my energy in something or none. I like to think of it this way. How can I play the role of being the best daughter possible to my parents? How can I play the role of being the best sister possible to my brother? How can I play the role of being the best teacher to my students? How can I play the role of being the best friend to my friends? This simple question that I ask myself gets my mind subconsciously thinking of ways that I can treat people better. I have very high standards on myself on how I treat the people around me, and this is something that I will never step down from. If somebody is in my life, it means I value everything about them so deeply, and I want to show that in every way I can. So I have a lot of love inside of me that I will always prioritize to make felt. Anyways, I know this was a little bit of a longer video, but if you stayed and you've watched, I really appreciate it. I'm also new to this YouTube thing, so if you have any ideas of videos that I could do, please drop them below. But other than that, I will see you in the next one. Please like, subscribe, it helps me so much, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.